And we are live. Hey everyone, and welcome to Sarenth. What episode is this?
This is a good question because I forgot to put that in the show notes because I'm awesome like that.
Damn.
However,
as we both immediately go,
shit, what episode is this?
So
64.
64. Jesus.
Yes.
Which is cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Indeed. Oh, what should I start off with? Meat or something hard?
Start with a forecask because I already know what the Glenfiddich is going to taste like, and I want to hear your notes on the forecask. Also, hey Melkor.
Hey Melkor.
You again. Our guest tonight is supposed to be David Shi, who is returning to the show. Ideally, he did not forget. It is not unusual, as I was saying before the show, it is not unusual for ourselves or our guests to be late. That happens. Hey, Cunion. Oh, Cunion, I have not forgotten about your prompt. I just have been very busy. I am still thinking about it. Cunion gave me a prompt on my...
Oh, nice.
Yep. And hello, Emily.
Hello.
I'll give it another minute or two see if, before I do the prayer. We're just hanging out. So you're drinking Ironfish Forecask, yeah?
I am.
What's the ABV on that?
Let's see. That's the Reiko. This 90 proof.
Oh, okay. Not bad. Not bad. Melkor says, I see the sickness has finally released you, Malik. Kind of. I did not get as sick as my partners did. They both, one of them is still basically has full laryngitis. I have a bit of a stuffy head, but that's about it. We've had a respiratory infection running around the house.
Fun.
Hey there, David. Yeah. It has been less than pleasant. Hey, David. Welcome back.
Good to see you.
Can't hear you at all.
Seeing you is all I can do right now.
Nope. Still nothing. Yep. Take your time.
If y'all didn't want to hang it up to get sick. Thanks, Melkor.
Melkor was supposed to come visit me, but didn't because we got sick as soon as they were supposed to come up.
Oh, neat.
Anything yet?
Not yet.
No.
That's okay. David's here. We can get the prayer underway while they're figuring out.
Yeah. Hail to the ancestors who guide and inspire, who show us the ways hidden and deep, who walk the paths with us, shallow and wide. Hail to you, hidden holy ones. Hail to the secret bearers, whose tongues bear hidden fruit. Thank you for your blessings and for walking with us all our ways. Back warm you and keep you. Back warm us and keep us
all. So, how's it now, David? Oh, you know what? You automatically start muted. Try unmuting yourself at the taskbar on your StreamYard.
Here, I got it.
Okay. Are we?
Hey, there we go. That was the problem probably the whole time.
I was looking at my system settings. I'm like, everything's on. Then I didn't realize it was just StreamYard.
Automatically mutes you when you first come into a broadcast.
Oops. I also forgot about that. So, yeah, it happens. Anyway, how are you doing?
Tired, same old.
I feel this. Just like, yeah, no, I'm fucking exhausted all the time.
Yeah, I actually was just at another pagan conference this past weekend.
Oh no!
And I took a red-eye flight back, and I haven't fully recovered from that.
Got you. Well, thank you for being here with us in spite of all that.
Really appreciate that.
It's fine. I took a quick power nap before this.
Nice.
Yeah. I am now on the midnighter schedule of I'm perfectly happy to catch 5 hours of sleep at a time. I just do it several times a day if I have the day off.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for you. Don't do that. That's a known carcinogen. Like night shift is a WHO recognized carcinogen. Don't do that. Anyway, so that actually does bring up one of the topics that I wanted to get into was David's take on Convo.
Yeah. If you feel like you want to get into that.
Convocation.
Yes.
I mean, it's actually of the various conferences I've gone to so far, I would say it's probably my favorite one, actually, although that is primarily due to the people that I know there. So, it's a
cheers to that.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I mean, I very much look forward to it next year. I was actually just talking to a couple people on the board about next year's one. So,
okay.
Excellent. Here's hoping.
Yeah, no kidding. Here's hoping. Some of the stories from Convo are, yes, Melkor, we are bad for your health. I'm aware. Bad for your blood pressure. I am sorry. I did choose this life, so I can't help it. I guess I could help it.
I will say though, Convo is definitely one of those conferences where I don't expect to sleep by any means.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like my hotel room is for storage purposes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, con kind of has the vibe that I've associated with like anime conventions, where it's like
very much so.
You're occasionally going to visit this room, but you're not going to spend much time in it.
Yeah. You're lucky if you crash for a few hours a night, and that's about it. Speaking of night shift hours and everything, I still crack up about you, David, doing the divination course or class and doing the reading live and just, oh no, what happened to all of you?
That was amazingly funny. For those of you who don't know, David did a whole ass divination workshop at con about North Asian divination systems, and it was just the funniest fucking thing. So anybody who's in the know saw your face like, oh neat, what did you see?
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh man, that was amazingly funny. And meanwhile, I'm sitting. I think it was Melkor and I sit in the back chit-chatting as you dropped the stones, and I was like, oh boy, that looked like it was interesting. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, no, I remember like as I was doing the divination, I was like, is everyone okay? Like, should I be worried? Should I do something?
Are y'all okay? Are you sure?
And since then, I've gone to a couple of other conferences, and I'm sorry to report, it's very similar.
Is it?
That tracks.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say much besides look at the overculture.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the overculture, and
Also the particulars of how we got here.
yeah, and also the subculture. I said it then. I say it now. I will continue saying it constantly on repeat. I should just get a recording. We, as witches and pagans and etc., don't fucking cleanse enough at all. It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Sarth going, is it me? Am I the drama? There's a lot of death energy here. I wonder what asshole put that out there.
Which is kind of, going to Malik's point, it's kind of interesting to me because I think for me, it's already a hardwired habit where before I do anything, I do a basic cleansing before I do even anything. And then that doesn't even include the other just random cleansings that I do on a regular or irregular basis. At least before I do any type of work, I do a cleansing. And I thought this was a habit that most people had. Apparently not.
No, Malik and I are very much outliers on this.
Yeah,
which we wish we weren't.
Yeah, I do a cleanse before just about everything. I mean, you saw it. For those who weren't there, obviously, which is probably most of our viewership. Anyway, I brought a bottle of Arshan specific cleansing water to like a spray bottle and just carried around. And everyone was just, "Hi, do you want some? Do you want some?" All weekend. It was very nice. It was very fun. I'm really glad I did. It cut down on the recovery time, frankly, for me quite a bit. And also, that is an outlier.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate by the number of times that I've had to be like, I'm a moderator in a couple of like really newbie oriented spaces, and the number of times I'm like, did you ground and cleanse? No. Okay, let's start there, and if it fixes your it fixed your problem. Okay, let's keep doing that. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I was talking with someone else this weekend, and I out of the blue, I kind of said something without thinking about it, and people started laughing hilariously. It's like, no, y'all aren't cursed. Y'all just dirty.
Yup.
You're not cursed. You're just dirty.
Shower.
Yeah.
Just go take a shower. Actually.
Yeah. Someone was like, you should start putting that on the t-shirts and selling it.
You wouldn't have to worry about your red-eye flights anymore. That's for goddamn sure. Oh man. So I guess the thing with convocation for me is like, it is such a wonderful time to connect with people,
mm-hmm.
and then there's the whatever the overarching theme is, and then there's everybody's take on it, which is really fun to see, especially if they don't usually have anything to do with the main theme. Like
my stuff,
right? I have nothing to do with the Sephiroth at all. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to shoehorn my heathen shit in here somehow. I mean, that's how we got the troll workshop off the ground. Because I was like, Malkuth, close enough. Earth spirits, why not?
Sure. Not at all, but okay, sure.
I mean, I think that's what makes it more interesting, I think, because you also don't want to fall into the thing where everyone's stuff is just too similar to each other.
For sure. No, and that's... You run into that a lot. I forget where I was. I was at some... No, I didn't actually go. I was just looking at the class menu for some conference or other. It was like a Pagan Pride Day or something, and it was like 3 different classes on Kernunos, and they were all just Wicca light, and I was like, oh, so I have nothing to learn here. Okay, never mind, I'm not going. It's like, oh, so it's a horned god, and by that, or Kernunos, by that you mean the horned god, by that you mean just Wicca light, but without any of the initiatory stuff. Okay, no, I'm okay, actually.
Honestly, those events, when it happens to be something like that, it's just time to look at the vendors and go shopping, because what else am I going to do?
What else am I gonna do? There's nothing for me here. And like, I mean, Wicca's fine, I guess. I don't like it, but it's fine if it works for people. I say that increasingly about a lot of things these days. So I guess it's fine if it works for you.
I mean, I know a couple Wiccans who I would consider them to be very, very good, but they're like a dime in a dozen.
Yeah, it's not common in my experience, my limited experience, and most of mine is with non-eclectic Wiccans, not initiatory folks who are, a little different. But I say with Sarenth, who is technically a Wiccan initiate in the room.
Right.
Oh, I really have to know this about you.
Yeah, I'm a first degree Georgian. It's not a really big part of my life anymore. So
I was gonna say, not that you do anything with it, but What
were we gonna ask, David?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
I also increasingly say similar things about core shamanism, which I feel much less bad about than Wicca. So.
Every now and then I do come across people who are like, oh yeah, I studied under Harner School, or oh yeah, like I knew Harner. And I'm like, great, time to time to switch on to my diplomatic tone of conversation.
Oh, this is going to be one of those conversations. Okay.
I'm in danger.
There's always a moment where I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I read Sky Shamans of Mongolia recently.
Oh, gods.
Oh, Kevin Turner's?
Yeah. And I was a fair amount of it. The ethnography part was fine. He very clearly was searching for the confirmation bias was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, you're looking for confirmation that what you do is the same thing as what they do, and it's not. And they're telling you it's not. And you're a little surprised by that, which you shouldn't be, but okay. And all of that was fine. Interesting stuff. Mostly when it wasn't him talking, but interesting stuff. And then we got to his analysis at the end, and I was like, my guy, I can't. I got so mad, I actually had to go back and reread Spirit Voices because I was like, no, I can't with this shit. I can't. I need to read something that's real, and I should refresh anyway. I can't with this bullshit.
Yeah, the desperation is really palpable.
It is. When my trigger point was when he called Jesus a shaman.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm done. I can't. There was several pages I just didn't finish because I was just like, I can't.
I am so happy you experienced that, so I didn't have to. Appreciate it.
Genuinely, the first probably 2/3 of the book is fine. Worth a read with a critical eye, but worth a read.
Right, but I don't feel like crawling through any glass, so I'm glad you did.
Glad I could bear that one for you. Going back to me and Sarenth. Is it me? Am I the drama?
I mean, yes, but
yeah, I get increasingly less patient with things that are bullshit as I go on. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine.
I guess that's kind of where the impetus for this episode kind of came out of was because the last time we had you on, we talked a great deal of what North Asian shamanism looked like in context of your book. And one of the things that I really enjoyed tackling both in conversation with you and with the broader conversations around the book is what that looks like here in North America versus what traditional North Asian shamanism and spiritual work and all that stuff looks like. Because it's really some of the stuff it's this is kind of one-to-one. Some of the stuff it's yeah, this is almost a different animal some of this stuff, it's like, nah, we can, you might use different verbiage, but we can recognize some things.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things where that's where I appreciate some of this metal meeting the meat, where these conversations can really have an impact. Because, as a case in point, my own working with the trolls, and then coming into Mother Tree Shamanism and doing work with them and talking with them about the loose and the loose Sovdog and the Sovdog, and I was like, okay, there's points where I'm like figuring out that there's enough crossover that may not be exactly 1-to-1, but it's they're at least kissing cousins from the sounds of it, looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I've come across it's almost as if it's, I don't know if this is a crude way of saying it, but it's almost like when humans from different continents come across each other, they're going to be very different, but they're going to still have human needs, but they are very different flavors of humans. And that's kind of what I've come across. I mean, like, I even remember this one conversation with, Amina, one of the teacher of Mother Tree Shamanism. She was like, yeah, your American Nagas are so weird. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and one thing, like, in like Buddhist traditions and stuff, Nagas do not like tobacco, right? Like, at all. Here, if I don't give the local river tobacco, she gets mad at me.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't burn it for her, but if I don't give her tobacco laid on the ground, she's upset.
Yeah, there's stuff like that I find really interesting across traditions, and it's also where I feel a bit more kinship with the Mongolian ways versus the Tibetan Buddhist ways of doing things. Because when those points were made clear in the material, I could figure out why I wasn't feeling an attraction for this particular way of doing things versus this. And initially off the cuff, I was like, oh, it's probably just because I'm being that stupid. I want to go back to the pure source, thing, which is a fine notion, but like, okay, sure, Saren. But no, the more I kind of dug into why I was feeling the way I was feeling about it, it was like, no, some of these, the way these are offered and who I'm offering them to and in what context, it actually does align better with this versus that, and the reasons for this versus that, like the tobacco thing, or like the reasons why certain spirits want me to offer vodka or whiskey. That just, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this is a good point too. It reminds me of the saying that roughly goes, quote, every culture has a sweetbread and a dumpling, end quote, because humans like sweets and dumplings are a good way to feed many people.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like everybody has their own version of bread. Yep, absolutely. I guess the thing that I love digging into these conversations, partly because it's like we find all these commonalities, but then the stuff that really does matter, it really actually turns out it does matter when you find those differences.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
That actually dives directly into, sorry, I'm looking at the questions on the Discord. One of the questions that one of our viewers asked was proper etiquette with spirits. I'm Gollum today. Spirits. Proper etiquette with spirits and the differences amongst y'all, if any. Sarenth, go first, because
okay,
I'm going to be the outlier here. I'm an asshole.
I mean, so giving offerings and work to spirits in places you're visiting. Where was that?
Second one from Kat.
Okay. Etiquette depends on the gods, ancestors, or Vatir in question for me. It's very context dependent, because a proper offering to Nithog is going to be very different than a proper offering to Odin. So one of the proper offerings I give to Nithog is my compost. because she is a dragon that sits in underneath the world tree and gnaws at the roots, and she is the nature of decay. And I'll say she because partly because it irritates the shit out of certain folks in the Ostrich Folk Assembly, because gender is funny and made up, and I experience Nithog as a she most of the time as opposed to a male, as opposed to a he. So the fun part about that is like, for me, and the way that I understand these Vaethir, these gods, these ancestors, these Vaethir, is it's very context dependent. Because like if I tried offering compost to Odin, he'd probably go, "Neat, why?" In a very sarcastic, sardonic tone of voice. Now where's my fucking meat, kid? You know, like I've just poured it.
Liquor now, please. Thank you.
Right. I don't know why you're trying to hand me rotten carrots, but unless you want an ass kicking, replace this. So yeah, for me, a lot of the what is a proper offering is very context dependent. Like, is it respectful to that particular Ginregen, god, ancestor of Aethor? And that respect is dependent on what they find respectful, because they're people who knew.
I had a thought, it died. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. David, what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it's, I guess, I mean, there's kind of a lazy way that I approach this a little bit, in which, I mean, if I'm just doing offerings to the various spirits and entities just around me on a regular basis, I kind of have my just regular go-tos, because the relationship has been built far enough where these things are recognized as offerings and they are accepted as offerings. But if I were to come across spirits, beings that I'm unfamiliar with, my kind of lazy workaround is, all right, I have milk, I have vodka, I might have whiskey, I have barley, I have crackers, I have, just a jerky, I have just a number of these things. Anything among here that you want? All right, that one. All right, you prefer this one? All right, here. And then that's kind of how, I mean, I basically bring a spread and basically going like, any of these you like?
Here's stuff that travels well, and most people like at least one of these. Would you like one?
I mean,
Cool.
I have yet to come across a bad experience from doing it that way, because normally it's one of those things where when you present a choice, they'll be like, okay, I will choose this among the choice, or I'll choose these things among the choice. If I will say from my experience, and this might be different from others, but I have yet to find an experience where milk does not work well. So, if nothing else, like that plus something else, usually, at least for what I'm trying to do, gets the work done. So that's kind of, I mean, there's a reason why, Amina and Mongolians in general like to brag about how practical their practices are, because we kind of find sort of our lazy ways of being able to do things without, that's accepted, that doesn't overcomplicates things. That's yeah.
Yep. No, I feel you. Yeah.
It's funny because like when people ask me like, what should I give an offering to a god? What do you have? Do you have water? Good enough. Is it clean?
Yeah. Yeah. I have yet to run across a spirit. That's not saying they're not out there, but I have yet to run across a spirit that does not enjoy some combination of milk, coffee, and tobacco. Like, very occasionally, like, spirits that I know well will ask for different things, like the river likes coins. Shocking nobody. Actually, I shouldn't say it. That might shock some people. That's kind of a known thing. Rivers like shiny things sometimes. A lot of times. Here in North America, everybody likes tobacco. I don't know a single spirit in North America that doesn't like tobacco. That might not always be the case. Your mileage may vary. North America, though, most like tobacco, and milk seems pretty broadly accepted in my experience. So,
I think that the one caveat I would offer is if you're in a place where there definitely was, say, certain offerings were expected, make sure you do those.
For sure.
The last thing you want to do is piss off the land spirits, or if it's definitely a taboo, ask the land spirits first, because I've run into some land spirits that are actually offended if I don't offer what I offer my land spirits. Like, no, we know you've got vodka and we know you've got mead, so come on, pony up, bitch.
Yeah, here's another thing that I also do to sort of cover my ass a bit is I always, and people always giggle when I include this in my classes, is that I always come in going like, by the way, I'm a stupid human who doesn't know shit, so please forgive me for my fuck ups.
I've actually since re-listening to the episode the last time you were on, and also rereading the book, I have started doing that in my daily prayers. Just like, hey, I'm gonna fuck shit up. I'm sorry about that. Please don't be angry. I am trying to do better. And it's gone over well, actually. Like, a lot of just like, hey, I'm going to fuck up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I should specify this is also not a Mongolian thing, because this is actually something that is from more of the Tungusic peoples. For people who don't know, the Tungusic peoples are, the Evenk, the Manchu, the Olchi, the Amur River peoples. Mm-hmm. So like people like to the east of the Mongols. The Mongolian, this is actually not something within Mongolian practice. It's specifically something that actually is in Olchi practice more so than everything else. I think they have an apology between every other sentence of prayer.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I thought Catholics were hardcore.
I was gonna say, I don't go that hard. I put one at the end.
Yeah. I'll usually slide in one or two somewhere, like, somewhere in there, and that's the message is heard.
Yeah. One thing that is different, specifically I know from your practice, David, is that and there's a reason for it, and I'll get into that in a second. But I offer raw meat on, not all the time, but on a fairly regular basis, which is pretty taboo in quite a number of places.
Yeah.
But it makes sense for my spirits because most of them are wolves or heavily wolf aligned. The pack spirits, they're wolves. They like the raw meat. They will accept cooked meat for the most part, except for very rare occasions, but that's rare occasions with very specific things. But a lot of them will prefer raw meat if I'm offering to them directly and not in context of other spirits, which isn't that common. Mostly there are other spirits there, which is why cooked meat is fine. But if it's just them, they're like, don't cook it. Don't waste your time. Like, I would prefer raw. I'm like, oh, okay.
I would imagine in such cases the raw meat, since it's essentially meat with blood on it, is that it would have to be prepared and purified in very specific ways before it can be offered. No?
Yes. It's generally prepared specifically, and it's not purified in the sense of like sprinkling salt or juniper or something over it, but it is prepared in a specific ritual context that is purified, right? Where you're not just like dragging a steak out of the store and just, here you go. It's, hi, this has been prepared specifically for you. No one else is going to touch it. No one else is going to have any of it. This is for you. Or there's sometimes a shared consumption portion, but that's, again, exceedingly specific context. That's not a thing I'm going to talk about. But
yeah, because like at least within our cultures and practices, it's like quote unquote taboo in that it's it's not a hard taboo, but there's some caveats. It's generally recommended to newer and less experienced practitioners to not use anything with blood on it, not because blood itself is taboo, it's because it's complicated. Because on one hand, blood is life. It is an essence of life, and many spirits do want life. But at the same time, blood it is a very spiritually smelly thing. Yeah. And because blood oftentimes in various raw forms carries a lot of impurities, it makes the blood spiritually very, very smelly in a not so great way. Which many spirits, if they're given such an impure, like nasty smell, it becomes offensive. Yes. So that's one caveat. The second caveat is you also have to be careful about what spirits you're potentially attracting with the blood, but that's another thing. So it's really funny because within, now modern day Mongolia, Siberia, etc., they basically teachers tell students don't offer blood, don't offer anything with blood, but there is historical precedence of blood and things with blood on them being given as an offering for very specific purposes, and it has to be prepared in very specific ways for specific spirits. So there's a lot of complicated things to work on around that in order for blood to be worked with or anything with blood to be worked with as an offering, and which is why it's generally only done by experienced and advanced practitioners who know what they're doing, because there's a certain amount of care and precaution that has to be taken. Now, that's why for in your tradition where it is offered, I'm sure you have a specific way of doing it, in which case it's perfectly fine. We won't be like, oh, taboo. We won't be like that. It's just it will just, whenever we hear it mentioned, we have these specific precautions and themes and concepts sort of running through our heads.
That makes a lot of sense. That's actually really interesting to hear. Because I'm like, oh, this is a wild divergence from everything I've read. Oh, because I'm reading the beginner stuff. That makes sense. Which is natural, right? You don't want to just... And also, I would not recommend that anyone approach the pack spirits with a raw steak. That's not... Don't do that. You're not initiated. If you are listening to this and you're initiated, obviously you know it's fine. And you know the ways to do it. If you're not initiated, don't fucking do that. Why? You're going to attract things, not just the pack spirits. You sure you're not accidentally offending your land spirits? Also, how deep do you want to get with the pack spirits? Because you're about to.
Yeah, when it comes to the heathen tradition with the runes, we will frequently get people who will insist you don't have to blood your runes, you don't have to do this or that or the other thing with the runes. And while it is strictly true, you do not have to blood your runes. However, there are depths you get to with giving the runes blood that you don't otherwise get to, and I have lore sources to back this fucking thing up. And that's the thing that drives me craziest about conversations around blood, whether it's sacrifice of something else or auto-sacrifice. And to be clear, I recommend that if you're going to learn how to do sacrifice, you learn how to do it from somebody who is a competent person who has handled animals and knows what they're fucking doing. Otherwise, don't do it, because if you fuck that offering up, you've just screwed a whole bunch of your spiritual power, the whole nine. That's the thing about blood offerings and heathenry that isn't talked about. Is if you fuck it up, if you do it wrong, your personal power and the power that you have tied into your community suffers.
Yeah.
If you do it right, kudos and everybody benefits. You fuck it up and everybody's going to feel it.
High risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward. And the other thing too is with runes, it's especially potent to use blood. It's in the fucking sources. There's several examples in the sagas where blood is used to empower runes. And people who want to bitch and moan and say that's not how it was done, I want to just point them to any given saga where runes are mentioned and go, the fuck it's not. One of the oldest poems we've got, which has rune magic in it, says it right there, asshole. Sorry,
I can interpret it 6 other ways besides blood.
You absolutely can. The thing is you can interpret, and I want to really emphasize it is a valid thing to not offer blood if you're not prepped to do it. If you don't have the lancets, if you don't know what you're fucking doing, if you're gonna hack a fucking finger off doing it, please don't.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Speaking as a healthcare worker and a microbiologist, if you cannot do it sterilely, don't do it. Like, just don't. It's better to not. I carry sterile. I'm not diabetic, and I carry sterile lancets that I don't use because I haven't given blood to the runes in many years at this point. But I still carry them just in case. But don't do it. Like, if you're not going to do it sterilely, don't do it.
Yeah, don't fucking do it. And if you are gonna use something besides a sterile lancet kit, be sure you know how to clean it. Be sure you know how to cleanse it. Be sure you know how to sanitize. These are different things. Cleansing, cleaning, and sanitizing are fucking different things. If you don't know that, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Frankly, if you don't know how to handle biohazards, don't off the blood.
Don't. Yeah.
Just don't. Like, your blood and other people's blood is a biohazard. Don't offer it if you don't know how to handle that safely.
The other thing I really want to point out is something that I've heard David mention a couple of times. Like, we are practical people. Like, yeah. And so are the heathens and so are the pack spirits. If you can't do this safely, you shouldn't fucking do it. And blood magic and blood work is inherently unsafe. Mm-hmm. If you can't do it with a modicum of safety, you should not fucking do it. There's other stuff you can do. Other stuff you should be doing.
Right.
You know.
That's another thing that when I first heard about the class of Mother Tree Shamanism and was getting David's book and stuff, I kept getting slapped upside the head with like, hey, pay attention to this. And I was like, okay, I get it. And it was because all of this is extremely practical information. It's like simple as you can make it. Please do it that way. Like, as practical as it can be. And I still am complicated a lot of the time. Don't at me. It's fine. But like, the pack spirits are they're wolves. They're like, did it work? No, try again. You added extra steps. That was really unnecessary. You can just do it this way. Oh, yeah. Try again.
It's one of those things that really struck me when I was reading both your book and taking the class, is that there's not this necessarily there's certain things that cross lines and cross boundaries, but you have to like damn near try to be disrespectful to piss some of these spirits off. Now, some of them you don't have to try very hard at all, but you're warned well ahead of time. I mean, like, I don't recommend most people go out into the forest and befriend a troll your first day of being a heathen. I don't recommend it for your first 30 days either, but you know, you do you. The thing that I appreciate is that both ways expect you to act like spiritual adults. Like, if you're gonna fuck around, you're gonna find out. But you'll, at least if you've listened, have some tools in order to mitigate how much finding out you get to do. Like, it's one of the things that I appreciate about our conversations is like you're constantly asking like, okay, what's the downside to this? And I find that incredibly fucking funny. But it's such a practical way of looking at it. Like, yeah, that's an excellent question that I wish more people would ask.
Like, what do I need to go into this? And what happens if I do?
You know, I can't help but giggle internally because, like, as you said that, when I was with all of you in Michigan, I wasn't trying to befriend troll spirits.
Oh, no. Did you bring friends home?
I entirely blame not
Sarah's?
just, I mean, Sarah's very much part of it, but a whole bunch of y'all I blame.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So something you might not have heard, I am God's spouse to Angrboda, who is in some of the poems known as Queen among the trolls. It's fine.
Yeah, there's no setup.
Hung out all weekend. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I mean, that's a whole other situation when certain spirits approach you and you figure it out.
Yeah.
Did you have any, just curious, given the sheer amount of us that were around, Did you have any wolf spirits follow you home?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because, I mean, it's not uncommon for me to come across wolf spirits or
Okay.
related spirits. I don't actually think any of the ones from Michigan specifically followed me, but you know.
I know at least one did.
Oh, really?
Don't you remember I gave you wolf fur?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. Yeah. I still have it. I haven't done anything with it.
That's
so,
okay.
Yeah.
It was for you, for whatever purpose it wanted to come with you. That is
yeah.
okay.
But see, the thing is, like, when I do notice wolves around me, I almost like. I mean, that's the New Yorker in me. I'm like, oh, look, there's another person next to me. Whatever.
That's fair.
That's kind of like with wolves too. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Neat. Moving on.
No, because wolves are I wouldn't say super common, but they're definitely not uncommon amongst North Asian traditions. I mean, wolves are a thing. Wolf spirits are a thing. You know, a lot of times various land spirits or other spirits will appear in the form of wolves. It's you know, I've learned not to dig too deeply into it.
If I remember correctly, at least a few of the different tribal groups are mythically descended from a wolf.
Quite a few, yes.
Yeah.
There's different opinions on whether or not that was literal or versus descended from tribes that worshipped that particular animal as a totemic spirit. But there's a lot of different theories. I mean, when I first wrote that part literally in my book, Amina was very adamant that I include the different perspectives on what that may and may not be. I mean, part of the practical aspect of even Mongolian shamans, they're like, it's not biologically possible. It's clearly referring to something else.
Very clearly, this is not biology. This is something else. Okay.
Yeah. Which is the funniest thing ever when I heard it, but you know.
Really quick. You are so shiny. Michigan loves you, David. Lol. I mean, she's not wrong. They're not wrong at all.
I've noticed it. It's very interesting.
Me in Japan and Korea using the please forgive my silly human self. I did not realize even on vacation I still had a light bulb on until I started getting the foot tapping. Hell now. I mean, it's Melkor, but also like sometimes you're walking around and you don't even realize the light bulb's on. I get that.
Yeah.
I can't walk around Meyer half the time without somebody flagging me down and wanting to have a conversation. So I get this on a personal level.
I mean, in Japan, there's a shrine on every other block. So, you know, there is, you know.
That's awesome. God, so I wish.
This also, Sarah, with regards to the light bulb thing, this is why I include a cloak as part of my shielding so that I don't have that shit.
I mean, you know.
You could. You choose not to, and I
choose not to, but I'm also really public with.
Yeah, no.
It's hard to put these away.
Sure. And also, I'm just like, and don't fucking talk to me. Actually,
fair. It's fair. Melkor, I was innocent in the troll shenanigans. Yeah, actually, in this case, yes, you were. Actually, in this case, you were specifically misdirected. I think a bunch of us were. Because we all had to go home and sleep, and a whole bunch of other people had to do spirit work that evening. And I might be less innocent in Wolf or Fox shenanigans. I mean, also see the source. It's one of the things that I do appreciate about our various listeners and friends groups is that there's an awareness there. Like it's one of those things where sometimes you get into pagan groups or you get into modern spirituality groups, and there's this real lack of awareness of what people are calling on or doing. And at least in the circles we tend to run in, that's actually looked at as a real big positive of can you explain this to me? I may not understand, but can you explain this to me? Or I might not follow this way at all, or my philosophy might be totally different in terms of life, but I will listen. And if you explain it to me in a way that I can rock, I'll at least tell you.
it is my rule of thumb is I inform people who I am talking to when I do divination, who I am calling on when I am doing anything, as long as I am allowed to. Otherwise, I use more general terms. But like, it's, hey, I'm calling on this kind of spirit to do this kind of thing, and especially if I'm doing divination, here is who I am speaking to. This is why I'm doing that. If you're not okay with that, that's fine. I just can't do this divination for you.
I gotta say, that is actually one thing that I found with the Mongolian way that I was taught to do divination was hilariously very different. Just tell them what the fuck you're saying. It's so cut and dry. I'm so used to having to explain, like, okay, this is what a rune is, and this is what it means here to somebody that's coming and getting a reading. And maybe it's my audience, but like, I'm either getting somebody who's keyed into what the runes are or I'm not. And in case of somebody who's keyed into the runes, I don't have to explain shit. But if it's somebody who's fresh, new, never seen the runes before, which is actually a surprising amount of my clientele when I go places, it's like you can see that the gears are turning, but you got to kind of apply a little bit of WD-40 to get them to spin. And the Mongolian system just does not have fucking time for this shit.
I'm not going to tell you how or why I got the information. Here's the information. Either you trust me or you don't.
Honest to the gods, it's so fucking funny just how cut and dry. It's like, yes, and
yeah, it's almost to the degree where it's like there's always a bit of like, all right, hurry it up. You know, because I also, just culturally speaking, whenever a shaman is doing something, they have a whole line of people also right there too.
That's
so it's like, all right, we got to get through these. It's even to the point where even when on a couple of my trips to Mongolia, when I was let's just say tested on my divination skills, one of the feedback that I got was like, stop thinking so much, just do it, and then just do it and then say it. Why are you thinking about it so much? And I'm like, hi.
That was actually almost exactly feedback I got when I was first starting Mongolian divination from one of the teachers. Was like, you are thinking about this way too much. That does not answer my question. Just answer the question. I was like, I was just trying to explain what I saw. I don't care. Just tell me what the answer to my question is. Oh, okay, it's this.
That took some getting used to, because I'm so used to tarot and rune clients, or clients who are used to tarot and are used to having things explained to them. And it's a different vibe entire, because like North Asian systems are just like, give it to me. And meanwhile, it's almost seen as rude if you're too quick in tarot or rune divination. But like, I don't know. It's funny how just on the nose, straightforward it is.
Yeah. The culture shock there is pretty real, because the number of times that I've had a client be like, and I'm like, here's what the answer is, and they're like, oh, so it's this? Yeah, that's what I said. And then I have to go back and forth with them, re-explaining the same thing 6 times. I'm like, yep.
If you ask me 6 times, you're gonna get the same fucking answer, because that's the rune you got, jackass.
No, it's not even that. It's just like re-explaining it in very slightly different terms. Just like, yeah, it's this. Yep, sure is.
I'm curious on this note.
In real time. Okay.
Yeah. I'm curious on this note if you occasionally get people who try to like bargain with you on the answer.
Yes. And I will say that it's not even a thing with just Westerners. I mean, I get this from Westerners, but I also get this from a lot of the Chinese clients that come to me. I think it's because the mentality has almost reached a point where there's a mentality where like either everything is negotiable or like everything is like a transaction. So it's like,
ooh boy.
So there's almost like, or like an investment. So there's almost like, I'm paying you for a reading now. What can I do to make this work out for me?
I have gotten that. That's interesting.
So yeah, so it does happen. In which case, what I normally do is when it does go into the realm of bargaining, I'm literally telling, then I follow that up with, well, then these are the things you should do in your life. These are these are the cleansings you should do. These are the offerings you should do. It's like almost like, all right, then here's your home. If you want to change it, here's your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how sometimes when you put that onus back on them, there's this initial pushback with some clients, and then with other clients, it's almost this, oh, thank the gods, I just needed a fucking direction, and they will glom onto that hardcore. Some of those clients are some of the most fun I've had with in the readings I've done, is because like there's almost a sense of desperation of what do I fucking do? Yeah. And then when you give them something to do, oh boy, get the fuck out of the way. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are a lot more fun than the people come back every 3 weeks asking you the same fucking question. They're literally getting the same cards. Like I had one person who came back to me. It was when I just started, and they're part of why I instituted a "you don't see me for a month" rule. Because they came back to me 3 weeks in a row asking the same exact question, and I shuffled in front of them. I showed them I was shuffling, and they got literally the exact same spread every fucking time they came in the store. And I said, well, I don't think this shit's going to – I appreciate your money, but I don't think this shit's going to change until you do the thing that we asked 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I instituted a rule where I told the store manager, look, if this person comes in, just if they've seen me in the previous month, tell them not to bother me. I have other clients. Because they would just, it was uncanny how often I would get these literally the exact same spread. And then I had occasional where they'd come back and I'd ask them point blank, before you hand your money off to the store clerk, did you do any of the fucking work? Because if not, don't bother.
The answer will be the same. The cards might be slightly different. The answer will be the same thing.
No, like this particular client, I don't know what it was. But they were personally attacked by this Rider-Waite tarot. It was fucking amazingly funny.
Well, even when the tarot loses patience for you, that's
like no, smart. This is literally like you can take pictures of this. This is literally the same fucking reading you had last week.
Which is funny because I feel like tarot is one of the more patient divination systems, and when that is done with you,
100%. Like if the tarot is like, look, dumbass, you know you've gone too far.
Yeah, that's the. I don't think so. A lot of people find tarot to be, and to be fair, in the hands of a very skilled reader, it can be. But people who find tarot to be extremely blunt, I'm like, oh, I should not read for you.
Right?
You are not going to like. If I pull my bones out, you are not going to like what is going to be said to you. And if I pull the stones out, even less, because they're mean. The bones will at least throw you a bone, for lack of a better term. Goddamn, I can't think of a better idiom in English for that. They'll at least like, I'm sorry, honey, you. The stones will not. So you'll get basically the same reading, but one of them is meaner.
The stones were formed over millions of years, and surprisingly, in all that time, they don't have any for your bullshit.
Wow, for people who think tarot is blunt, like, is there? I don't even know of a system that's less blunt than tarot.
Honestly, I can't think of one because, like, Lenormand is pretty fucking brutal if you read it. I've seen people be read by Lenormand cards. I don't read Lenormand, but that thing will rip you to fucking shreds.
I think it's mostly people who are very. Again, I'm in a number of spaces that are very newbie oriented.
Okay,
and so it's people who are not used to. Oh no, the spirits are real, and they will just smack you. They don't care.
I will say though, there was one time, and it was a learning experience for me. There was one time in which I did do a second reading very quickly after the first one, and that was because the first reading, I clearly I very clearly identified that there was a lot of pollution on this person. But what I didn't fully realize in the first reading was that even though it showed a lot of pollution, I wasn't also fully aware of how much the pollution was also affecting the reading
Oh, wow.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I was only able to figure this out when I checked out their astrological, their Eastern astrological information. I was like, wait a minute, something's off. And then I literally said to the person, okay, do these cleansings and then come back, because then because it was very interesting. The pollution was, even though I was able to find that the pollution was there, it was also changing up the messages.
It was so intense that it was altering the readings.
Yes.
Like a haze on the lens almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I get that.
And in which case I was very, even though I don't consider myself a good astrologer, I was very grateful that I was able to, use astrology as a confirmation for this.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's beyond my fucking ken, man. Like, serious kudos to you for being able to use that information, because it doesn't matter. East, west, up, down, south, north. It does not fucking matter. Like, I do not have a brain for it. I've tried really hard.
I can do cross-referencing to make sure I'm doing things on a good day for it, and that's about it.
Did you? I don't know if you noticed in the MTS group, but there is a file in there which I built an Excel model for one of the. I was like, wow, this astrology is complicated enough that I built an Excel model for this.
I have not seen that. I will have to go look that up. I will look that up.
It's one of the first files, because I was part of one of the first batches through MTS, and literally, like, everyone else was struggling because it's very mathematical. It's so math heavy that many people were struggling so much for it. I could see the patients leaving Amina's eyes during the time. So I'm just kind of sitting there, and while everyone's trying to figure out, I basically start playing around in Microsoft Excel to be like, all right, there's got to be a way in which I can automate this.
Yeah. People genuinely underestimate how powerful of a math engine Excel is. Like, it can do actually very advanced statistics pretty readily. You have to know how to work it, but it can hold up against some of the more advanced stats engines out there. It's not SPSS, but it does pretty good. You can do multivariable stats in it, no problem. You just don't have to know how. I don't remember anymore, but I used to be able to do that. In fact, it's more powerful than a couple of like dedicated stats engines that I've worked with, which is
that's terrifying.
Stats engines are, many of the professional ones are actually built mostly to give you very pretty graphs. Excel doesn't give you very pretty graphs. It gives you graphs, but they're not very pretty. And that's what a lot of them are, because they're built for professors and researchers who are trying to just run their stats simply to get the graph so they can put it in their presentation or put it in their paper.
Get published.
Yeah, that's really what it's for. I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for the actual research. I'm just doing this to get the image so that I can get published.
Okay, that's fair.
For the actual stats, they're running it in R or in SPSS.
I have no idea what the fuck you're saying, but it sounds mystical.
R is a stats program where you have to code all of the calculations in basically by hand. There are a lot of models that pre-exist because people are lazy and good. I realize I'm going on a tangent. It's fine.
No.
SPSS is the kind of, I forget what it stands for, but it's the big social science and then bled over into hard sciences stats program. It's like a sociology specific one that has enough stats that everyone uses it, including a lot of biologists. But it's the kind of big stats engine that isn't R. And nobody uses R who isn't doing extreme stats in like stat specific fields. I'm actually surprised you didn't run across SPSS in psychology, because most psychologists know, and that's fine. Like
Ulfkin.
I know that's not.
I got a C- in that fucking class. I was just happy to get out of it alive.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, it's very.
Hilthor.
It's just funny to me because I learned about SPSS
give this to you
from.
so you can set it down on the table.
Huh?
I said, you know, I was going to give this to you so you could set it down on the table.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring it up to his altar.
Zenith, make it simple.
Dad. Cues. They report.
Oh gods. Drinking with math sounds like a fun vlogcast as well.
That sounds like slow torture for me, but you know, you do you.
I, as the unwilling biostatistician in so many labs that I've been in, I don't want that. I can do it. I can make myself do it. I don't want it.
Fair enough.
What was I going to say? Oh, speaking of Melkor being on vacation, they also wanted to ask about thoughts on giving offerings and work to spirits in places you're visiting, best practices, potential pitfalls, etc. I thought this was particularly appropriate because Hawk took a trip to Japan and South Korea, and they had some experiences with the local spirits, which were mostly positive. And also, you mentioned in the foreword, I think, or at least the first chapter of your book, about going to Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, yep.
And having issues. TM.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing: when I'm visiting a place just for relaxation, vacation purposes, I try very hard to not. Well, no, that's a lie.
I was gonna say, how well does that fucking work?
No, that hasn't worked well. I very much try to portray myself as much as possible as, hi, I'm a passing tourist. It's actually Hong Kong was a different story because I was actually living. It wasn't a visit. I was living there for a couple of years. So, and this was definitely back when I was much younger and dumber, because I was trying to do spirit work without. I know this is going to sound crazy. Without acknowledging the local spirits of that particular island.
Honestly, it doesn't sound crazy. It just sounds like the neo-pagan thing to do. And I mean that with all the love in my heart for my fellow pagans. But it definitely sounds like some shit I hear at con.
Yeah.
I'll say the same thing, but disrespectfully, actually.
I didn't say there was disrespect. I said there was love in my heart.
Oh, no. And that's not meant towards you, David. That's meant towards you. Yeah.
I do specify when I was much younger and dumber. And so that was when Yeah, so that's when I learned firsthand. Yeah, because and that was when I learned firsthand that when land spirits are annoyed with you, you get some weird skin stuff, and you don't necessarily. With me, I didn't lose money. I was just blocked from my money. It was like all the foreign currency transaction, bank access thing, all of that happened. So I was like, oh shit, I'm broke. Like I have a bank account with several $1,000s in it, but I can't access it, so I'm broke. Yeah, so there's that thing, but one thing that I found at least convenient in a lot of temples and shrines in Asia is that they will have shops nearby that very much sell things that are appropriate to give as offerings. So at least for me, when I was traveling through Asia and I was visiting spiritual sites, I was like, all right, I'm going to make a quick pit stop at, the local shop here and get some stuff and almost like kind of like as a tourist, but also as a visitor, I'm like, all right, so I see everyone else doing this and giving this, so I'm going to do that too. And basically it's like, hi, I'm here, I'm visiting. This is the gift that I brought. No need to do any more work. Like I'm like, no need to do any more work. I'm not trying to look for work to do. I'm just here to give respect. I'm gonna go to that Michelin restaurant now. And for the most part, within most of Asia, it's worked pretty well. I mean, there are occasionally some spirits that do follow me for a bit, but luckily I'm able to, how do I describe this? My work with other spirits is always first and foremost through the hands of the spirits that I already have, that I already work with. So it's able to, at least for me, to be able to sort of cut some of the work a little bit for me, which, you know, I work with those foreign spirits through the spirits that I currently have. But again, I think through most of Asia, it's just pretty convenient that there are just spiritual shops, you know, everywhere, especially around temples and shrines that have these things. It's mostly when I'm visiting other parts of Europe and North America that I need to maybe put a little bit more thought and effort into what goes around. Because even when I was even younger and dumber, aka when I was still in college, and I went to Scandinavia, and several of those spirits followed me back, and I had to figure out how to work with them. And actually, they've been very accommodating to my stupidity, and basically helping and sort of instruct and advise through the limited frameworks that I was aware of at the time. Yeah, so it's kind of complicated. I guess nowadays, whenever I go somewhere, I mean, in Michigan, I pretty much just latch onto you guys to sort of help me.
It's totally fair.
Yeah.
No, completely.
But yeah, it's if I'm going somewhere with spiritual intent, I almost never approach it alone. I try to find someone local to help out as much as possible. Otherwise, at the very least, I'm doing the exact same thing that I mentioned earlier. I just have a spread of things and be like, yeah, want any of these?
Really quick, just to play catch up with the Slow Torch for Starting sounds like a potential fundraiser for Ann Arbor Pagan Pride Day. Thanks.
Also, a good thing for the OnlyFans that we've been promising for several years.
Several years, yeah. Yeah, OnlyFans with Rune Daddy. Yeah, it doesn't sound crazy. Sounds new agey.
Yeah.
You have good personal bouncers. I will attest to this.
Yes, all good points. Very funny. Before I forget, one thing that strikes me as a thing that you kept mentioning and have continued to, and it's a good through point, is you keep saying spirits will follow you home and trying to not pick up more work. And I really can't emphasize enough for folks how important that is, because you don't want the extra work. I promise you have plenty. There is enough on your plate. You don't need to work deeply with every land spirit you come across. And just because they were nice to you once doesn't mean that you need to be best friends.
Wait, are you talking to David or are you talking to the listeners on the show?
The listeners, not David. David is the example of this.
Well, you know.
Hey,
well,
please don't follow
David
me
has
home.
learned over the years.
Please do not follow me home. I am very busy. And I am in a contextually different situation with land spirits specifically, because of my relationship with Freyr, means that I have to be not have to be, I should be, if I am smart, a bit more accommodating when land spirits show up than even most other people. Because
How smart are you, Wolfkid?
very dumb. I am very dumb, actually. I am try to put out an incense stick with your fingers dumb.
I mean, you know.
That is an actual story. I have actually done that. The quote is, "I am very pretty." But it's still, I still try to live by that rule. It just, that rule doesn't apply as much because I end up with extra work for land spirits because that's part of my thing with Freyr is like, no, I owe land spirits more things because the relationship is different, because I'm his priest and his thing with land spirits is deeply intense. So in context, it's like that, but it's still as minimum as possible. It'd be nice. Just the minimum is different.
Yeah.
I think it's also an important point in spirit work broadly, but in spiritual pursuits, like you've only got so much fucking capacity. And it's actually one of the things that I appreciate a lot of the folks that I run into, whether it's in this particular group of friends or in the wider communities that I'm personally involved in, that people are just really kind of like cognizant of, you have X amount of spoons that turn into forks and eventually turn into fucking knives. Like, it's one of the things that I appreciated about the MTS group. It was like, make sure you don't sign your ass up for more work than you actually have space for. And it's one of the things that I appreciated about all of your workshops, actually, is there was some kind of warning in there of, if you give them a fucking mile.
And a lot of it too is like, don't sign yourself up for a work that's not going to have benefit for you,
Or that's not yours.
Welcome.
It's one of those things that I wanted to ask you about, David, was sometimes when you've got a situation in front of you, like what's your decision matrix or what have you? What goes through your head, or who do you talk with to be like, all right, this is mine to do, this is not mine to do? Because the process of discernment is something that we've talked a lot about between Malik and I on the show. But I'm curious if yours is similar or different from ours. Like if you're presented with a situation, like what moves you to get involved or not get involved?
I mean, not to say it in the most blunt ways, but I mean, I'll do divination on it. I'll ask. I'll go into a light trance and ask my spirits. Or sometimes when it's like very clearly like, oh, they want to, this issue goes into this topic. Do I know someone who knows more about this topic than I do? And yeah, so that oftentimes that's kind of what it is. It's, I mean, I'll frequently actually ask my spirits, be like, is this something that I should like be involved in? And generally I just kind of go by that. Through divination, like it's a combination of divination, asking spirits directly, and and then just, do I know anyone in my network who will be better at this?
That is actually one thing that I appreciate about not only the groups of friends that we're involved in, but also like more broadly speaking, folks who are like in a place where they are more secure. It's not like this obligation of, well, I have to take this on, I'm the only one that can do this. Like, no, I promise you, you're fucking not.
Yeah.
Because I say that disparagingly, because I used to be that guy. Like,
I was gonna say, no, you have said that to me. Like, I'm the only one who could. No, you're not. I could do that. I'm not. Why are you? All the love in my heart. You have said that to me, and I was like, no, you're not.
Yep, you sure have. It is one of the, like, speaking of personal bouncers and spirits that have your back. Like, I mean, this is also like why community is a big fucking deal, right?
Yeah. I also really appreciate I will refer them to someone else, because fucking no one is an expert in everything, and sometimes that's not my job. Somebody else, like, and also just, I don't know everything. Like, fucking, if people are here for rune work, Sarenth, you're it. I know the runes. I have a very deep relationship with the runes. If you've got eyes to see, you can actually see the runes on part of my spirit body. Don't think I'm not going to fucking refer people to Sarenth, though, for the rune stuff. Like, that's it. Similarly, if people have wild hunt stuff, there are a half dozen people who'll be like, Malik, wild hunt things? Malik, that's it. Malik. Like, oh, okay. I guess I'm the wild hunt guy now. Okay.
Well, this is actually something that I think I came across in your book as well, but also like in personal conversation, where it's like, you know, you don't have to be like the do all end all. You don't have to be everything to everybody. It's one of those things that I appreciate how sober you approach your practice. Like seriously.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people who approach me, it's oftentimes people have something Asian going on, so they're like, David, and I'm like, Asia's a big continent. And oftentimes, I mean, and I say this with all the love, but a lot of Chinese people approach me, and then when that happens, I'm like, all right, are we dealing with some like Chinese folk spirits, or are we dealing with Taoist stuff? If it's Taoist stuff, I'm gonna send you to Benabel.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's Taoist stuff, that's not my bag. I'm gonna send you to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, or if it's like, yeah, if it's Korean stuff, I'm probably gonna send you over to Jen. You know, it's it's
That's it.
like
Yeah.
I'll do my initial read, but I very much preface I am not the expert on this. I'm just gonna tell you what I see, which is probably only 1 or 2 layers further from what you see at most.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because the amount of people I wouldn't say it was a mistake. I would say it was a definite learning experience. I went to an 8-hour long psychic fair, and I don't think I got up from that table except to use the bathroom maybe twice. I was very busy, and I was really sorely tempted to print off a sheet that says, "Have you bothered to do any ancestor work before sitting down?" Because it was very much of that feel that you just gave with the Chinese folks approaching you, like white folks and their ancestors, especially like because of where it was like almost exclusively middle-aged white women who hadn't talked with their family or had very poor relationships with their grandparents or mother. And it's like, y'all, somebody needs to fucking talk or offer grandma a beer or something, but fuck, guys, come on.
Your dead folks want to talk to you. 101.
I feel like it's almost only with Americans though that I come across people where I was like, you should maybe talk to, you know, some ancestral spirits you have, and they're like, oh, but I don't want to. Like, I don't have a good relationship with my family. I'm like, then don't talk to, not all the time. I'm like, then don't talk to them. Talk to the other one. It's like,
there has to be somebody in your family you like. Yeah, at least one person.
The line I like to trot out is, statistically speaking, not every fucking member of your family is going to be an asshole. Find somebody you can talk to.
right.
If you can't, maybe you're the one.
If you can't, perhaps.
It might not be the ancestor that's the problem here.
Have you considered the parable of if everyone you meet is an asshole?
Yeah, which it's, yeah, I don't know. There's some weird, I mean, I say, I know it's going to sound judgmental, but there is some weird trauma that I feel like a lot of Americans have with the concept of ancestors.
It's the whiteness.
It's the whiteness, but it's very specifically the American brand of white guilt mixed with the nuclear family plus like our specific brand of corporate capitalism is like
toxic and weird.
It is. It's very, and it's also because there's this weird, not quite diaspora, not quite not diaspora thing going on with so many Americans where we're removed from our roots. We're not on cultural land. We're on stolen land. And also we don't talk to our families because of the nuclear family thing that meant that there's no community. You can only talk to these 3 fucking people. And if those people aren't healthy, which they're not going to be healthy because of the corporate work world that they're shoved into, it's weird trauma layers that lead to, oh, nobody likes each other. And then also racism.
I was going to say, and also racism.
Wait, against their own family, against their own ancestors?
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely in some cases, yes.
Yeah.
Deep prejudice.
Okay.
Oh, and then there's also the queer phobia that is also very rampant. And, queer folks are at least 10% likely more of the population, which means at least 1 in 10 of your ancestors or at least 1 in 10 of your clients, and likely higher because we're part of a niche subculture, therefore higher percentage of queer folks, is not liked by their more mainstream queer-phobic, families.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there that cannot be done in 20 minutes when you're doing 8 hours of readings, and it's 20 to 25 minutes at a whack.
See, I can't help but get into the mindset. Well, don't talk to them. Talk to someone else. Like
I trust that refrain is always on my lips. I'm sure it's on Malik's.
Like, that's not the ones you have to fucking talk to. Like, eventually you will.
Then fucking don't.
Yeah, like, you will eventually have to say something to them, even if it's fuck off. But like, there is somebody you can talk to. I promise. And you do need to talk to at least some dead folks. That is a thing.
Yeah. And I think this. I don't know if this is something that gets rehashed in shamanism, spirit work, and spirits more generally, but like, it's one of those things that comes around every so often where, and maybe this is just a unique American thing where a spirit will communicate a deep seated desire, or if you want to work with me, you need to do X, Y, or Z, and it's hard for the person involved because X, Y, Z trauma. And the spirit will insist and the person will push back, but they want to have that relationship. And it's like, okay, but you have to give the spirit something. And it really wants you to work through whatever X, Y, Z shit is. And it can be very awkward being the spirit worker sitting there with this poor person who is frustrated and confused and like, why this? And it's like, if you have to ask that question and you're sitting down in this space, like, I get this sometimes with folks who want to initiate with certain spirits. And it's like, have you considered that you are opening up new paths to healing? And this is just part of the way you have to walk to make that healing happen because you're the only person that's willing to do any of this, let alone listen. And it's like, yeah, that's a shit road to hoe, but it's your road to hoe. And I'm sorry.
You have X number of hands or X number of cards in your hand. That's it.
Right.
We can make the best out of it, but
I can't unfuck your ancestors. I mean, truth be told, unfucking your ancestors isn't really the point of this. It's just, you are the result of your ancestors. Go do something different with it or continue the pattern. Sorry.
Emily also makes a really good point. I think people who have only experienced the small, limited family have a harder time realizing the extent of ancestors. I have a large extended family, so it wasn't a stretch for me. That is absolutely someone who comes from a very small nuclear family who also did not talk to our extended family for bad reasons, but still, it was very difficult for me at the beginning to think of ancestors as anything but like my parents and grandparents and their grandparents. Like, which multiplies out quickly, but still it was like, oh, it's kind of pretty straight trees. And it was like, oh no, it can be broader than that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. Do we want to hit closing thoughts before we steal all of David's night? I mean, I will talk to you all night, David. Don't get me wrong. Like, absolutely. But also, it's been an hour and a half. Sarah, just go with your thoughts. I'm just trying to be responsible. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think the thinking on that, I come from a Catholic family where, you throw an apple and they're probably related to you. Especially in Michigan, like if I happen to like launch an arrow from one section of Michigan and it lands in another, it's probably a relative. of some description. The pool of ancestors that you have access to is so much more than just like blood ancestors. It's something I try to emphasize in my talks on them. But it's also something I don't shy away from because, yes, it's okay to have ancestral trauma. You and every other motherfucker on this continent has some sort of ancestral trauma. You're not unique. You might be a snowflake, but you are certainly not unique because eventually the pattern fucking repeats. I don't know about anybody else, but I take comfort in that. I'm not the only person who's got this pattern. And it's true of whether there's a specifically North Asian way of addressing it, a specifically heathen way, a specific pack way. Like, some of these remedies work exceptionally well given our context. And some of these remedies are like, you have to be willing to kind of bend a bit before things can get better. The amount of times where I've had clients who've expected the ancestors to bend for them, as opposed to like realizing that at least some of their ancestors hang on to that hierarchy of, no, you got to bend for some of this stuff first. I guess the thing is, like, there's remedies available. It's the question of, is this the particular form you wish the medicine to be in?
Yeah, not to drag on this conversation for too much longer, but one thing that I've been wondering recently is that, at least with a lot of different Asian cultures, we kind of have this mentality of like, oh, the problematic ancestors, well, they're going to reincarnate anyways, so we don't need to worry about them. But then obviously reincarnation is not a universal thing, and especially in a lot of Western, or I guess, probably more specifically white families, part of me wonders, like, okay, so are there problematic ancestors not reincarnating? Is reincarnation like an optional thing when people die? I mean, this is stuff we'll figure out when we get there, but it's kind of something that I've been wondering about.
For the theology of the circles that I have tended to run in from a heathen perspective, most of it has been, part of you will reincarnate and part of you will stick around as part of the ancestors more broadly, whether that's as in Valhalla or in the Mound or Helheim or however it's kind of split out. But part of you stays with the ancestors as a group, and eventually kind of loses individuality, either because nobody remembers your name or there's different ways to think about it. And then part of you reincarnates is the most common thing that I have seen.
But even in that sense, since they're joining a group, that problematic aspect should be very much minimized.
It should be, and most of the people that I have talked to, when they're addressing it that way, it's getting folks to that point where it's like, hey, this is a way to think about it. Oh, I never thought about it that way. I thought I had to talk to this individual person by name and only them. It's like, no.
And no one else.
Yeah, no one else.
Or
you don't have to.
The other problem is you get some folks, especially white folks, who will collectivize the problematic behavior.
Also that.
They actually take it into a reverse where it's not just the one ancestor who had the issue, and now they're part of the general group of ancestors. What happens sometimes is they treat whatever the problematic behavior was, whether it's racism, sexism, homophobia, whatever, and they seemingly seem to infect their whole ancestral line with it, when that's really not the case. When you look at like the broad sweep of human history, we didn't have time for that shit when we were Neanderthals. Most of our ancestors didn't have time for that shit when they were just plowing the fields and trying to make sure they didn't fucking starve come winter. Like, most of your ancestors could give a shit what's between your legs. Could you actually get the fucking crops in the barn?
Yeah.
Like, not to be too goddamn blunt about it.
No,
but collectively your ancestors are like, are you gonna fucking live? Cool. We'll help you out.
It's like, are you able to contribute?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Are you helping? Yes. Okay. We can get along. No. Something's got to change. everyone has already said it, but another thing that I really want to emphasize too is like you do also have to be. It's a relationship. You have to be willing to meet them halfway, and sometimes more than.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't just expect them to do for you and not. And now on the flip side, if you're just doing for them constantly and they're not providing, they're also not holding up their end, and that's also a problem. But like, you're not even willing to make offerings, and you want them to improve your life. My guy, no.
You've come to the negotiating table and you think a handful of rice is going to suffice for the gold you want them to put in yours? Okay.
Yeah, no. Meanwhile, I've actively had to talk specific ancestral spirits that I have a very deep and very good relationship with, down from like murder. Where they're like, I am angry and I'm going to do something about it. And I'm like, please don't. No, please don't.
I need this fucking job.
I need this job. Please don't. Actually, I will give you almost anything you want. Please do not do that. Like,
No, that's real.
I understand you are angry. I am also angry. Please do not murder.
I think this is also like going back to where Emily was talking about how you have really good personal bouncers. Like this is also like when you get in deep with certain spirits, like they're either their own individual spirit who can make their own choices or they're not. Like past a certain point, like I know that if I say something in front of my rune spirits, I have to be a little careful with that. Because the rune spirits will go and do shit for me without me asking them to, because they like me. And I know this is a thing in certain shamanic practices as well, where you say the wrong fucking thing in front of the altar in just the right way, that fucker's dead, or they're going to wish they were. And this is like where the responsibility part comes in, right? Because like it's not enough to be like, wait, I didn't mean it that way. It's like, nah, you, I could feel you wanted that fucker square. No problem. I have just the box.
As Jason says, ancestors, I know how to fix this. Grabs mallet. Yeah?
I mean, when it comes to our very different paths, like this is also sometimes where I will, where I have said in your presence, actually, David, like, if he's okay with your presence, like specifically when I said something to the trolls about you, when we were making introductions, some spirits are more or less keen on like our modern conceptions of what consent is. Like, he wouldn't have come here if he didn't want us to follow him home.
No, but that's the thing that I find all the time, like with the pack spirits, is they're like, what do you mean? You knew what was going on. You did the thing. And it's like, I didn't know that was what was going to happen. Why didn't you ask? Like, informed consent does not necessarily mean the same thing. They often will assume you did the action. You knew what the consequences would be.
In the long run, there comes a time, and I think this is probably what I consider. People will disagree with this, but I consider this to be the line between when a practitioner reaches the point of an elder, where you're able to have a degree of influential control over your own spirits, especially in the case of like old elders, when they pass, there's a chance that they're going to be one of those spirits, which means you're going to be one of the colleagues of the spirits you've been working with. So there comes a time in the maturity of spiritual workers where they have developed enough knowledge and power to be able to maybe not a leash, but put some kind of control over the spirits that they have. I mean, it's for new practitioners, it's always like, yes, listen to your spirits. But then to a degree of eldership, there is a degree where I don't need to rely on the spirits I have anymore. They're just there as an additional tool, but I can do a lot of this myself. And then when they become a spirit, they're like, all right, we're colleagues now. And that's a point to reach where I think this is how a lot of elders are able to have that controlled relationship with their spirits, where it's not, what I'm trying to say?
Oh, 100%. Like, there's a difference between me saying to the runes, I want you to light this fucker up, versus I am expressing something to you. I don't want you to go do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am venting. Like, there is a field of difference between me openly bitching to the runes about somebody and them going off, and versus me saying, go fuck this guy up and make him rue the day he was born. Like, there's a field of fucking difference now where... Go ahead. Sorry,
I don't mean to interrupt. I would say I almost sort it into kind of 3 levels, where at the very beginner level, it's like you have to kind of ask specifically because you don't have the relationship where they're just going to go do shit for you.
Right,
Like,
correct.
why would they? They don't know you. You haven't earned that. You are effectively a child. You need to earn your spot. And then you get to a spot where it's, no, they're going to just go do things. And they're going to do it on your behalf. And that may or may not be what you intended, but that's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can just ask for things sometimes and it will work. And because you're going to make the offerings and you're going to do the work, you're going to do the thing, and they trust you to do that. And then sometimes it's, hey, no, I know you want to. No.
Exactly.
And that's the 3rd level, where it's like, no, they treat you maybe not as an equal, but it's something approaching it. And that's roughly how I sort things.
I don't know about you, but I think this is also an important aspect that initiation brings forward. I mean, you both can speak to this on your own, but like, there is a very big difference between people who are initiated into rune work versus people who are just working with runes as a divination system or as a magic system. At least the way that I have initiated, understand, etc. How to put it? I guess it's maybe a different cachet or something where, so for instance, with the troll spirits or with the rune spirits, like, I have initiated in different workings with them. There's a different cachet that I have and a different pull that I have than somebody who's coming off the street fresh new to this and be like, I'm learning what the names of the runes are. I mean, this seems very obvious on its face, but I feel like it's something that should be pointed out, if for no other reason than there's layers to this as you get deeper in and deeper in and deeper in. And I've seen you do it with pack spirits. I've definitely seen you do it, David, with the spirits you've talked about, where you get so many layers deep, and then it's just like, okay, there's not only a comfortability there, but like the trance that you have to do to actually communicate gets less and less. The work you have to do to get into that space where you're communicating and you're communicating, there's a point at which there's not a question that they hear you.
Yeah, I actually recently hit a slight milestone with that, where I started hearing just almost mini prophecy in the last couple months of like, I'll just get a thought of like last week. It was, I'd had a couple of days off before work, and then I was going back into work again, and it was, tomorrow's going to be bad and the next day is going to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a random stray thought. That's not, I know that's not me. I'm going to ignore that and pretend that was a stray thought. And then the one day I went in was very bad, and the next day was shaping up to be much worse. And I was like, oh no. Okay. And then with the illness that's running around the house, everyone else was getting sick, and I was like, the same thought crossed my head. This will not be as bad for you. You are not going to get as sick as they did. I'm just going to trust it, and I have not gotten as sick as they did.
I think the important thing that I keep emphasizing is, like, with spirit workers, and you can speak to this in your own tradition as well, David. The point that I keep coming back to is that it's not that I'm more blessed or more this, that, or the other, insert virtue here. It's just that I'm doing the work and I am being fashioned into the tool I need to be.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's I mean, this is not from my traditions, this is from me.
Sure.
It's no one else is doing the work and someone has to.
Right.
Right. Because every community does need someone to do it.
Yeah.
And I think where we are blessed is that we're able to network and communicate with each other across communities and across traditions to then be able to, at the very least, compare notes.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. But at some point, you know, it's especially in the case of shamanism, so it's thrust upon you, whether you like it or not, because you're the one that's gonna do it. It'll make your life better in a difficult way, but you know.
Yeah. I want that on a t-shirt. It will make your life better in a difficult way.
Oh, that's a banger of a quote.
It is. Like, I'm gonna hold on to that.
Along with y'all are dirty.
You're not dirty, you're just dirty. Oy.
I really appreciate you coming on the show and spending so much time with us talking and sharing your experiences, because like it's one of those things where you get people in a room and you start getting them talking, and there gets to this certain point where the pathways like diverge in very clear ways, but they're also like there's more than enough road signs where we're all like, yeah, those are pitfalls, don't walk in those.
Yeah.
These are different pathways. They're all still dirt. Don't fall in holes. Actually, that's bad for you.
I mean, I've also come to find that even though, like, surface level, there's a lot of things that are done differently, but then when we do dig deep, we find that oftentimes it's the same reason why things are done differently. Yeah. Which makes it really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, and like we were saying earlier with the raw meat and the blood, like, yeah, there's levels to it. Would I recommend to anyone starting out to do raw meat or blood? No.
Hell no.
I do it because I'm initiated with these spirits. I have years of working with them. They're very specific circumstances where this is required. Otherwise,
or useful. Like, fuck required. There's only certain scenarios where it's useful.
Yeah. Otherwise, don't. Why? Because it's dangerous.
Right.
What, in the same way that like offering blood is dangerous. Yeah, it's going to attract disease and pests and all kinds of things. Don't. You know, as Jason says, smiles and Bacchic practices. Yeah, and 100%. Again, those Bacchic practices are not for beginners. That's how you get torn apart by maenads. Like,
right. And like, if your particular tradition has taboos, there's a fucking reason for it. If you don't know why, ask. The worst thing you can be told is you'll figure it out when you get there, or you're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And I think there is not a misplaced distrust in that in specifically Anglosphere regions, especially in pagan religions. I think that there's a good reason for that, to be suspicious of stuff like that, where it's like, oh, it's an initiatory secret. Okay. But at the same time, like, you're developing these relationships with spirits, eventually it's gonna come forward. Eventually, like,
well, and there's a reason behind them. They're not just arbitrary. Right?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like there's
there's a reason why, because somebody got hurt, and we figured out, oh, don't do that.
Right.
Right. Like, literally. And speaking as someone who is working with a bunch of others, but still developing pack tradition in real time, like, every single one of the taboos that we have is because somebody got hurt or almost got hurt And we learned the hard way. It was oh, don't do that. Or, oh, we need to start doing this immediately so that that doesn't happen again. Because that was a close call and that should not happen.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. Like, using myself as an example, when I initiated, picked up a taboo, I didn't know about it. And I got violently sick for a week twice before I figured it out. And now we do divination about that before someone agrees to initiate. Like, both, what are you going to pick up? Why? Because that's smarter than running face first into it and thinking that you have COVID twice.
I fucking remember when you did. It was almost innocently funny. It was like what? It was a fucking like Wile E. Coyote sketch.
Yeah.
Like,
why did you run into that wall? I didn't realize it was there.
Sometimes the spirits of the Roadrunner, and sometimes they're Wile E. Coyote strapping your ass to a rocket and going, "Watch this." Emily's, oh, it was hilarious. Yeah. I think for everybody else, that wasn't Malik.
It was also funny for me after I felt better.
Right. After you stopped vomiting. That was pretty funny.
God damn it.
Malik the taboo tester. I mean, you know.
Well, someone has to figure it out for other people, right?
I'm happy to serve. Don't. That is.
I was gonna say.
That is 1,000% a joke. That was not meant seriously.
That's okay, Malik. We know that you're the incredible crash dummy for wolf spirits.
Sometimes it feels that way.
I mean, sometimes it is that way. I love you dearly. Again, David, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing so much with us, and I appreciate all the time you spent with us. And before we go, I also want to just say to our listeners, we're going to have an after party in the Discord. David, if you want to join us, by all means, I can show you the link.
Sure.
Okay, cool. And these are our jackass listeners that are going to be joining us.
Nobody says that out loud. Nobody says that out loud. It's already
too late. I already did. I am here to serve. Alex said, seriously, 5/6/2025. I said with a smile in my heart.
Anyway, yes. Closing thoughts. Anything folks want to say before we wrap?
I've talked a lot, David. Is there anything you want to say?
I don't know. Be smart, be clean.
Honestly, that'll save you so much fucking problems.
It really will. Yeah, it will. I literally cannot think of better ending words than that. Be smart, be clean.
See y'all in the after party.
Alrighty. See you, folks.